Hi, everyone. There's so much happening.
And watching sound is
Oh, that would explain why. I'm so sorry. Now there's sound. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the issues. I'm Dina Nina Martinez.
I'm Greg Potter. You missed
so much. So we are really excited to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're gonna be switching back and forth between a couple of streams. We're also gonna have some great guests.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So we're definitely going to have Michaela Berry. Myra McNair may not, or Myra McNair may not make it, but she's going to try to. She's downtown protesting right now. So, Greg, we're celebrating another decade. We started 11 years ago podcasting or doing our radio show in Los Angeles live. And now we're here.
Yeah. So we've done so much in 10 years.
We have done. There's so many dogs.
One of the things you missed is we have the dogs in the studio with us.
We do.
So
this one's mine. Hi. Say hi, everyone.
Mine's around.
That's Gertie.
So in the 10 years, though, I became a person who works on the international level, dealing with international intersectionality and cultural intersectionality and all these different things. And you became a superstar.
I mean, I wouldn't say superstar. I would say a star. Let's do this. Greg, your picture camera.
Why are you so cool? What's happening?
Let's do this let's remove this okay. Can you hear Greg? Can everybody hear Greg fine? Yay, Jaybird.
I didn't say anything. Can you hear me?
Can anybody hear Greg?
Okay.
I'm going to do this because that's what I want. I want to see your whole face.
Okay.
So we've definitely got a couple of things that are going to be challenging. And Gertie.
This is the last time I'm bringing my dog into the studio.
And Gertie will be here, but it'll be it'll be one of those things where she'll be quieter because she gets sassy when people are around. So we started 11 years ago in Los Angeles. And my, how the world has changed.
Oh my gosh. Dina brought it up to me about going live and bringing the Dina and Greg show back for D&G Live. And then it got me thinking about when we did this last right after was when, California had said yes to gay marriage and then said no to gay marriage.
And took it away.
And we hit the streets. And now the world is fighting for an equally important, but more important
cause,
because this really encompasses everybody. Because Black Lives Matter, and that really equates to everyone mattering and getting more and better equality. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we have a lot of deep thoughts. So please make sure that you go to Instagram, Facebook, and if you're not on YouTube, like us, Dina and Greg Show at Dina and Greg Show, and on Twitter we are Dina and Greg. Please tweet us out. Also, make any comments that you have in the little comment bar. If you have questions, we'd love to answer them. And yeah. So what's next, Greg?
Whoa, that's a loaded question.
Not in the global craziness of the world.
Let's talk about COVID-19.
Oh God.
And where were you? Let's start there.
Where were you during the pandemic? That is still going on, mind you,
yes.
Which is yeah. Good. I'm glad you can hear Greg J. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so we are both in the middle of, this is a global uprising. This is not just the US. People all over the world are uprising and protesting racism along with the US. Obviously, not everybody is protesting it because I've been on Twitter today. But also, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. Global uprising, global pandemic. Let's not forget that both of those things are happening right now.
Right, at the same time. And we're about to go into an election. And
we're fighting for our lives.
A volcano might blow.
Yeah, it could. The mega volcano is coming. An asteroid is on its way to the Earth.
I need to put you down because Uncle Greg needs a glass of wine after all this.
Yeah.
And we just began the show. Okay. So beginning of March, let's go there. Because right now
let's say end of February.
Okay. End of February, I turned 40 years old.
You turned 40 at the beginning of March.
Well, yes, but I celebrated it at the end of February.
Mm-hmm. In LA and Catalina Island.
And I'm very thankful because a lot of people did not get to celebrate their birthdays in the way that they would like to. So I acknowledge that. And then I'm just talking about me because we're just doing our catch up.
Yeah.
It's not always about me. And then I came back and we celebrated my birthday and I was supposed to get on a plane to go to El Salvador. And that's when I realized shit was hitting the fan. The El Salvadorian president closed the borders. The bride of the wedding I was going to, her parents just went through immigration and then they sent them back to New York. And I was like, oh, this is serious. This isn't a joke.
Right.
So that was kind of my humble beginnings with this. And then everything that I do, because this is the time of year that I would be working internationally, everything was canceled. And it was trying to figure my way out while also being present that this is much bigger than me and that I'm not the only one going through this. Because that's the one thing about this that I feel it's such a blanket of like everyone's going through it. Everyone's trying to find their way. So that's talk about yourself.
So at the end, I love talking about myself, as everyone knows. At the end of February, I was in Texas dealing with some family emergent. Gertrude Emmeline, she's very sassy. I was dealing with some family stuff in Texas, and I had been sick off and on pretty bad for me through the month of February. Like, as Greg can attest, I rarely say I can't do this. And
that one night you're like, I may die.
Yeah. And so I highly feel like it's highly probable that I had COVID-19 in March. And then, or in February, and then March came and I think we had that first week where we were buffered, right?
Yeah.
And we did a food show with my best friend, Christine, our best friend, Christine. And then my friend Vanessa said, they're about to shut everything down. And I was like, whatever. I was like, they're not going to shut everything down. People, whatever. People are,
Right. I remember like things quickly, but it was still the escalating or the de-escalating. What's the word I'm looking for?
Descalation.
Descalation, but it was really escalated. I'm like, what was getting closed? Like, I went to spinning that Monday morning, and they're like, we'll stay open. And then by 10 a.m. they were closed. And then like just things just kept. I went to the gym the next morning, my other gym, and by the time I walked out of the gym, they were closed. Yeah. Like it just, yeah.
And then my roommate had been. I'm sanitizing because I'm crazy right now. My roommate had been out of town, and so she was coming back into town from San Diego, California. She'd been out for months, and I was like, I don't know where she's been. I don't want to die. So I ended up moving in with Christine for a little bit over a month, and then now everything seems like it's mostly back to normal when it shouldn't be. If and then also now
I was sorry, I was reading comments.
No, it's fine. And then now we are in the middle of an uprising. One of the things that I found so interesting from the beginning was how many people were like, I need to pray. I need to be prayed up. I need to delve deep into my spirituality. I need to start meditating. I need to focus on what's going on inside of me during this time. Did you feel that too?
Yes. And sorry, as you were talking about, I was thinking about like where that was coming from, because I did feel it. I definitely, and it was just the increase of spirituality, whether it's religion, whether it is, whatever. However you feel spiritual, whoever you pray to, whoever you talk to, however you meditate, those conversations with yourself, they were increasing. And I don't know if it was just because of a lack of unsure, which probably is part of it, but then also a lack of control. And anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride. My friend Joelle Nicole, she's a stand-up comedian. We used to both work with her in LA. She lives in New York now. She and I were Marco Poloing because that's what old people do now, apparently.
Wait? You and Christine got me on something that only old people do?
Yeah.
In this midlife crisis, I'm having issues.
We'll talk about midlife crises. And then, like, here I am. I turned. I'm scared to say this.
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
I turned 50 years old this year in the middle of a pandemic. And thanks to my best friends, I was supposed to go to London, England, and Paris, France, and celebrate my birthday on the road because I haven't been out of the country in a very long time. And I was really excited about it. Booked my flights in January. Everything was coming. And then I don't know what that sound effect was.
So we brought it to London, Wisconsin and Paris, Wisconsin.
Yeah. So it was great. And now we're in the middle of, and this is what I've been talking about a lot of this since the beginning of COVID-19, but I think we've also been talking about it off and on for well over like throughout this decade. About equality, proliferating equality, and how our systems of oppression all of our systems pretty much in the world right now are systems that hold the oppressor in esteem and de-esteem. That's not right. But the oppressed, the class, color, all those differences, non-default religions in certain areas. So like in this area and in the US, anything that's not Christianity is more oppressed. So there's so many things.
Well, and we can look at, speaking in the last 10 years, like we can look at like all the symptoms of inequality in 2008 with repealing Prop 8. 2011 here in Wisconsin, we were dealing with when Walker came in and took away unions, and that pled on. And then there was also the oh my gosh, in the Middle East, there was all those,
the Arab Spring.
and and it's just continued identifiers of how deep and seated and systemic inequalities are. And in our country, it really comes down to racism. That because once we can become more equitable in that, then that will Reagan trickle down to everywhere else.
I don't necessarily believe that is the truth. I think we have to be very deliberate in the way we employ the equitable systems. Like, I think we have to be deliberate to include trans women of color, trans men, indigenous populations, other people groups. We really have to think about it holistically.
Oh, you're getting deeper than I was planning on.
I'm sorry, I got deep.
No, I want to be there. I just what are we 12 minutes into the show? Because you and I have been talking a lot about how we rebuild a society, and and that is
well. First, we got to tear everything down.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. One of the things that so we normally have several segments. And we have been
any other show you've ever experienced if you've listened to our shows before. So just keep with us.
We usually have segments. We still have some things planned for our segments right now. Let's go into. Let's go into So-So-She. Does that sound good? Loosely.
All my So-So-Shes are they all revolve around this right now. Because for me, nothing else really matters. I don't see a reason for anything else to be in my feed. Good news, of course, but really, this is the important thing, and the narrative needs to stay on what's happening. And anything that takes away from the narrative, is unimportant to me right now, really.
Yeah. Yes.
But then we still have to have
So let's So yesterday I'm online, and what is trending? Nothing other than Lady G. And I was like, oh hell, what did Lady Gaga do? Is she dead? What is happening with Lady Gaga? Right?
It's not Lady Gaga.
It's not Lady Gaga. So a couple of the one thing that I really want to play, let me see if I can find the right one. Sorry. I'm not sorry. Okay. So there was an article published by a porn star on and a sex worker on Medium. I have to read this because it's so incredibly amazing and disturbing at the same time. Okay, so Lindsey Graham, Lady G, was hired someone. I'm gonna put the camera on me for a minute. Hired a male prostitute to have sex with him, and this is what it says. The sex worker said, when I came out of the bathroom, he was on the bed naked on all fours. I noted that there were dark marks around his anus. I asked if he had showered, and he said yes. I asked if it was okay if I wipe him down. He said sure. Oh, I wet a face towel and wiped his buttocks, but nothing was coming off. Then I realized that his taint was dirty. Wasn't dirty. It was just full of moles. He said, hope you don't mind. Those are just my little ladybugs. What?
When you mentioned this story, you did not say any details. I didn't,
because I thought you would do a little research, but I didn't. It's fine. I was so disturbed. Yeah.
My little ladybugs.
Oh God! Oh, I will never look at a ladybug or Japanese beetle, which is what they are mostly here now. Again, I will never be able to look at it again. So there was a lot about Lindsey Graham, and in fact, today Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham for the seat that he's running for in South Carolina. Is that am I?
Yes.
North.
No.
One of the Carolinas.
Anyway.
One of the Carolinas. Whatever.
His race is really close, and you and I have been talking about Mitch McConnell and my plan that this fall, as long I don't think it's really going to stop me whether how social distance or not. I have time, so I'm going to go. My feet are going to hit the pavement. I'm going to go canvass for Amy McGrath, who hopefully and very possibly will take out Mitch McConnell out of his Senate seat, because that's almost as important to me as getting Trump out of office. So,
drink to that. Okay.
Now,
cheers.
You mentioned Medium. I'm going to bring up something that I saw on Medium. Is it okay? Did you have more to the ladybugs?
No, I can't right now. I can't.
No more
ladybugs.
Okay. So, my friend T, actually, T and I met. She's a friend of a friend who I don't know if I've ever told you the story. She works specifically with transgender sex workers throughout the globe. And she lives in the States, but she happened to be in East London, South Africa at the same time I was. Did I ever tell you the story?
No.
And so we set up a time that our friend's like, oh my gosh, you need to meet T. And so I've never met her before, and we're WhatsApping, and I go to pick her up, and I'm talking to the person that gets into my car, this wonderful woman, and we are driving, and things are working, like the conversation's going well, but it's just not quite matching up. And so we get to the restaurant, and then I get a WhatsApp call from T. I would love her to be listening to this because she loves the story. T, and she's like, are you coming to the hotel? And I was like, wait. And I'm like, hold on. And so I have this transgender sex worker in my car who was waiting for her John to show up. And we're in there. And so we laughed about it so hard, but I was so nervous, like, oh my gosh, like I'm taking now, like, I hope that I do not lose her client for the evening. Like that would be horrific. Yeah. But also we had a great job because her name, she had a Kosa name that started with a T, and I'm a good listener, and I didn't listen close enough. And so then I brought her back to the hotel. Thankfully, the John was still there. And then T and I got into the car and went to dinner. But anyway, so my friend T, long story long, posted this Medium article called Rednecks for Black Lives.
I saw that.
And it is, we need to see more of this. Like and this is a group from Appalachia that really looks at like when the word redneck, and it goes into the history of redneck that I knew a little bit about, but it was nice to read it and like, oh yeah, like the mining, it was very multiracial, and the miners got the term redneck because of the red scarves around their neck. And anyway, and it was just, it made me really happy and gave me hope for what's going on, because it's the collaboration, it's the intersectionality of like where we have to find common ground with each other and support what is happening right now. Yeah,
for sure.
My story was not as funny as yours.
No, I mean, because we are, because we tend to be humorous, I wanted to include that. So another thing that happened today that I would like to talk about is that, I don't know if you know, but the U.S. Marines.
Yes, they got rid of the Confederate flag.
They put out a memo saying that any presentation of the Confederate flag is completely prohibited, personally or privately or professionally. And the slew of racist comments on the Twitter thread just sickened me.
Yeah.
First of all, y'all lost that war.
Aren't you from that part of the country?
Yeah, we lost that war. Thank God. It's an enemy flag, essentially. Why are we displaying it anyway? But people are, and they're like, burn the history books. And I'm like, so now we're just going to burn the history books. Now
add to the history books.
Right? And I found that so crazy. And I grew up in Texas, I grew up in a very racist area. Like until I was in high school or late junior high, no person of color lived outside of the other side of the tracks. Like we weren't officially segregated, but we were definitely segregated.
I mean, this is just one of the steps to inequality, is like how the cities were built in redlining. And when I lived in Little Rock, it was insane at how you could see that the freeway was still the biggest barrier between. Yeah. So those tracks it wasn't coincidental.
Yeah. It was not coincidental. So I'm very excited to see that. What do you have anything next?
I was listening to you. Sorry.
No
Go
worries.
on to your next one.
My next thing was Tucker Carlson. I don't watch Fox News often. I try to watch it enough to get a sense of what, to round out my heavy diet of liberal progressive media. But I definitely want to know and hear what they're saying. And so Tucker Carlson, words are hard. I was watching YouTube and then all of a sudden Tucker Carlson popped up and I was like, how are you going to put that on my feed, first of all? And they focused, as the media does, on the looting and vandalism, not on the uprising. They focused on the looting and rebellion or vandalism. And he showed all those horrible videos of people stealing things and said, if you want to know who they are, this is who they are. And it sickened me. Like it sickened me to my core because fuck that guy. Welcome to the new segment. Fuck that guy.
And as we discussed earlier, we don't got a lot of fucks to give anymore.
At all. 0 fucks. I am out of them. Patton Oswalt said, I regret to inform all my followers that your grandparents are no longer comedy fans. So to ruin your Thanksgiving. Sorry to ruin your Thanksgiving. Tucker Carlson put up all these celebrities, Colin Kaepernick, Ben Schwartz, who are supporting All Lives Matter. Sorry. Steve Carell, Janelle Monáe, Seth Rogen, all these comedians, all these figures that are supporting Black Lives Matter, as they all should, as everyone should, and vilified, as the president is doing, calling Democratic terrorists. Isn't that what he said earlier this week? It is so clear to me that our administration, our government is trying to separate us and pit us against each other more now than ever, even just on a political line. Forget about racial lines. And the racial lines are atrocious that he's trying to pit us against each other. And then here comes fucker Carlson.
The narrative has been a big thing. I mean, for almost 2 weeks, I just spent, like, when I would see something on my Facebook feed, I would just call the person up and call them in and be like, why'd you post this? Tell me a little bit more why you post this. And my reason for doing that, one, obviously the conversation has to come off social media, but two, the narrative we can't let the narrative change. And the narrative is going to have so many opportunities to change in the next 3 days, 24 hours, week, 2 weeks, because COVID will have a resurge. There's going to be the tropical storms are going to be turning into hurricanes. There's so many other things. So it's our job to keep the narrative there. And that Trevor Noah had put in his Instagram live or Instagram video the Kimberly Latrice Jones video that I had shared with you earlier, and she did a great job of not a great job. I'm going to actually copy and paste
Sorry,
it.
we lost sound for just a moment, but
I'm actually going to copy and paste it right here. But I can do that, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because it's an Instagram thing. And it's been shared.
Yeah,
anyway, but at the end of it,
you put that in the private chat, so make sure that you put it.
Oh, I'll make sure it's on our socials. But this video, she talks about the narrative, but then she goes into specifically the looting and like how if you're gonna go against them, then asking saying the what and asking the why. And the why goes down to like income inequalities and wealth gaps and all of this. And she dives into it, but she ends it with, we're looking for equality and you should be happy with that, because if we're looking for revenge, then and we're not, or be happy that we're looking for equality and not for revenge. Because honestly, but she goes through 400 and she talks about Monopoly, like she brings it down to playing Monopoly. She's like, imagine for 400 years that we've been playing Monopoly and you just keep not for 400 years, you don't let me have my turn. And she goes into it. It's a wonderful, I'll share it.
Yeah. Awesome. So we are now at the point where we have our guests. Unfortunately, Myra is not able to make it. She was at the protest and then is running late. So what we're doing now is we're going to call in Michaela Berry. She is right here. Please welcome to the show the lovely Michaela
Hello.
Berry. Hi.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today?
We are wonderful. Are you only on voice?
I am. I have had a very long week and weekend, and so I refuse to get done up.
Word.
That is okay. I was just going to send you a message that Instagram, I thought that was going to everyone. So that is not directly needed for you. So do not mind that. You may have even already.
Okay.
So anyway,
It's
hello.
fine.
Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Yes. Hello, Greg. How are you? I've only heard of you through conversation, so I'm so happy to finally meet you and see you, even though you can't see me. I see you.
You're coming on. I was like, oh, and I was like, I don't think we've met, but I know exactly who she is. So
yes, I know, because
oh.
I feel like we're hidden from each other. We should look at a mutual friend right now.
We'll make it work. I'm not far away from you.
So Michaela Berry is a doula. She is the founder of Peace of Mind Nannies and Harambe Village Doula Executive Director. She lives here in Madison. She is my heart.
Aw. I miss you so much.
I miss you so much. And so I want to touch base with you right now. And let's talk about, one, I know you're sick of hearing this, but how are you?
Today was great because I was able to sleep in and ignore television and ignore text messages and phone calls. So right now, today, at this very moment, I'm doing wonderful. But beforehand, I was very exhausted and overwhelmed. I think something that I was thinking about today was just, I know we've been hearing Black Lives Matter, but I'm a Black woman every single day, and I've been a Black woman for over 30 years. And, nothing really changes the aspect for me other than maybe being a little bit more hopeful. But I deal with racism day in and day out, and it's just really difficult to put into words my life experience for others who don't have to go through what I go through.
What is giving you hope right now?
I think what gives me the most hope is that I was telling my partner this. I was like, COVID helped a lot of white people who were not recognizing racism recognize despair. You know, like we all got done
Right.
in during COVID. Like, what was the $1,200 going to do for any of us, right? And so not only did we get pennies during a time we needed more than that, but I feel like people have been able to slow down and really take time to look at where our world is and what we need to fix and what we need to change in order to be better than our past generations.
Hmm.
And I think that's everyone. I don't think that's just white people. I think that's everybody. You know, there was a data that was put out that said that we're right back at Jim Crow era. And there's a lot of red tape and a lot of disparities that are worse than even during the civil rights movement. And so to look at those statistics and look at those facts, like we all need to do our part to do better, but white people need to do more.
Yes. I think
Full disclosure, I am white.
Are you?
Yes.
I hope, and I don't know, haven't surveyed a ton of people to know this for sure, but to see the two different demonstrations from Open Up the States to Black Lives Matter, to see such a blatant example of what white privilege is, I feel actually did some good to show it to white people. I hope at least. And so even though they were idiotic, the Open Up the State demonstrations and pissed me off more than I think I've been pissed off in a while, until then everything escalated. But it was such those photos, those images of going side by side of seeing clearly this is one thing and this is the other.
Right. I know it. I know. I don't know what else to say to that. And it was disgusting.
I find it so interesting, one, that it is palatable for white men with guns who are the perpetrators of mass shootings across the country, in excess, can go to an open rally, open carry, and rally about getting out of their houses.
Yeah.
And Black people go to a rally, protest peacefully, and then the police are killing and beating and
mm-hmm.
rubber bulleting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am also astounded by the fact that so few white people see that as a problem.
Right.
I'm just making comments right now. I have no questions.
I mean, we're preaching to the choir right now.
Yeah,
so,
we are preaching to the choir.
I would like to back up, and Michaela, can I just ask questions about you? Because the research, I mean, we're going to share other resources with the white people listening, but I just want to know a little bit more about you and also your business through this time. First of all, how did you become, what brought you into being a doula?
A lot of what we're fighting today. I'm not from the Madison area. I moved here in my early 20s to teach. I was an early educator, so I was teaching 4K, specifically in the Verona School District, and came up against a lot of racism there. I mean, I had Verona School District it's no secret. It's negative 1% of anything other than white families. And I moved here blindly. I was living in Minnesota at the time and was hired on the phone. So that kind of shows you the type of experience and credentials that I had, that I didn't even have to do an in-person interview. So I come here, first day, they're like, we're looking for Michaela Berry. And I was like, yeah, that's me, guys. And they're like, oh. oh. And so I was teaching there. I had issues with students being taken out of my classroom room. I had my intelligence questioned, and I was just like, forget this. I'm leaving, and I became a nanny. And then combined with another nanny friend, and we had Peace of Mind Nannies. And we know that Verona is Epic Land, and so that was a lot of my clientele, and was able to get to a place where that was sustainable to do full time. And through my work as a nanny was actually what inspired me to become a doula, because I didn't really know that doulas existed or what they were. I knew about midwives. I have a great grandmother that was a midwife, but I didn't know that there was a version of midwife that was more easily attainable, such as a doula. And so it really was through a friend that I learned about it, but I learned about it in a more privileged way, that it was kind of like a specialty career or hobby career. And I was like, I can add it as a service to Peace of Mind Nannies. We'll have Peace of Mind Nannies, Peace of Mind Doulas, and I'll be there with families and parents through early parenting, because that's my passion. I love early parenting, early childhood development, art therapy. That's my forte. And so through training, I was like, there's not a lot of diversity. And I was going to all these networking, and I met my now business partner, Tia Murray, and she had already started a community-based doula volunteer organization. And I learned through her about the disparities here in Dane County in the Black maternity mortality rate and the Black infant mortality rate. And I was like, I don't need these rich people's money. I'm going to go change the community. Right. And that is really what led me to do what I do. I moved a lot growing up, and so I think that that's embedded in me as well. My parents always taught us to leave the place that we moved to better than what we found it. Mm-hmm. And so that's my whole goal living here in Madison is if I ever leave, because it seems like Madison never wants me to leave, I want it to be better than what I found it.
Right. A lot of people, I mean, not a lot of people, at least I come across people that know the disparity in graduation rates and incarceration rates, but the thing that gets missed often is things like the statistics from infant death mortality. And it's astonishing. And our listeners, if you do not know how bad it is in Wisconsin, really when you go to like Racine and Kenosha area, like there's a huge opportunity for that. And of course, which leads to access to healthcare and all that. But your story is beautiful, even though it's through such a very, the way that you got there is, up a hill.
Yeah. I say that battle because two reasons. It's like nothing's going to stop me. No one's going to stop me. And also, like, racism didn't just happen with George Floyd. Like that wasn't the first time.
What?
We've been dealing with this for over 400 years.
Huh? Sorry. I was clearly being sarcastic.
I know. I love it.
So tell me about a little more about your work with Harambee Village. Your clientele, what you do.
Yeah.
Because you do more than doulaing.
So, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, doulaing is probably like 10% of the pie. A lot of the pie is advocacy work and changing policies within hospitals and clinics. Right now, we're working with Medicaid to better formulate a doula plan statewide, as well as working with all the health organizations to improve customer care, basically. Mm-hmm. In a nutshell.
It's a good nutshell.
Do you feel that hospitals outside of more metropolitan, I mean, yes, I don't still consider Madison very metropolitan, but more rural hospitals are open to this, or how does that get received when it comes up, either whether you're approaching it or someone else brings you into it? for creating more of
with
a
changing the
doula-
policies.
yeah, changing the policies and creating more of a doula spread plan.
It's not always necessarily about um, creating a doula plan. It's more of saying doulas are necessary, and so it shouldn't be a separate plan. It should be a plan that's already embedded into the hospital and clinics. And so getting that understanding and showing our rates and showing the work that we do and how we improve women's pregnancy and postpartum journey versus a woman or a birthing body who doesn't have a doula during pregnancy and postpartum, and why having just that added support just improves mortality rates across the board, not just in the Black community. But we, of course, center the Black community because our rates are the worst, and we are two Black women trying to make it better for other women who look like us. And so, you know, when we're talking to hospitals, we're, like I said, we do definitely center the birthing body, but you know, this is going to benefit everybody. This is going to benefit all birthing bodies. The United States is one of the worst places for any woman, any birthing body to give birth. Like, that needs to improve, period. Everybody should be matched with those statistics.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Madison. You moved here. Your experience coming into this, going into Verona, very difficult. Then you kind of moved and centered around Madison. What has been your experience both as an entrepreneur and a Black woman in Madison?
You know, I have to kind of compare it to my upbringing. I was raised in predominantly white areas. I went to private school. I went to college in Minnesota. So, you know, navigating spaces where I'm not represented or I may be the only representative is not new to me. However, what's new to me in Madison is blatant racism and very loud microaggressions. I think that's the difference. And now joining into entrepreneurship, it's really, you know, through Harambe, I don't feel as I get as much pushback as I do through Peace of Mind, because Peace of Mind is really centered around the privileged white family. And although I have diversity in the clientele through Peace of Mind, the majority of my clientele is white privilege. And so if I don't do something in a certain way, I definitely feel those microaggressions, even more so than I do with the clientele that I work with through Harambe Village. Now there's microaggressions and there's still privilege, but the feeling of privilege gets stronger and stronger the more dollar signs there are.
May I ask what you experience with your higher dollar Black clients as opposed to your white clients? Is this I want you to be comfortable in this. I don't want to bring up.
I would say they're the same.
They're the same?
Yeah, I would say they are the same. Yes. Because there is a level of which there is, you know, I mean, the definition of privilege is feeling entitled, right? So there's entitlement in money. Well, I have the money, so I'm entitled to whatever I can get with this money, no matter what it makes you feel like. And so that person with that privilege, with that money, can look any way. And I would say sometimes my Black clients are the worst with the money. I'm okay to call that out.
I was about to say, "Ooh, come on, Uncle Tom." And then I realized that that's really inappropriate, and I still said it.
It's okay.
Still said it.
I'm probably thinking it, so it's fine.
So we are in the midst of global upheaval. Like, this isn't just
Mhm.
US.
Mhm.
People all over the world are not only facing the throes of COVID, but are also out there rising up. I don't think we've seen anything like this in our history.
You mean
Mhm.
And
generational? Like that's right. Like
I mean, has there been global uprising? Like, this is, so I watched a video today in the UK of a crowd throwing over, and I can't remember the name of the guy, throwing over a bronze statue of a slave trader who in Bristol, threw it over into the river. Like, there are, like, I don't feel like I've seen this ever before globally.
I do know at the end of
Mm.
there was definitely a global like backing, especially once the late '80s came in, and right as Mandela was about to be like go home to be prisoned at home. I feel and from what I know of the end of the Vietnam War,
Mhm.
that there was the international, but yeah,
I was being very white at the time. Very white in Texas at the time. So I didn't pay attention to the world, but I just feel like I haven't seen it on this level. So we're talking about lightly dismantling the police force.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
Mhm.
Because everybody's like, oh, you're going to do away with the police? Just bring in anarchy.
No, I think a lot of people educate themselves as why the police force was created in the first place. The police force was created to find runaway slaves. That's what it's embedded. So what needs to happen is a complete revamp and redo of police officers. Most of these people, and I'm not going to say it all because I've met intelligent police officers. Most police officers, there's
Sorry.
not a lot of educational experience that they need to go through in order to become a police officer. So there needs to be different types of training, different types of education, um, better understanding of the communities that they're serving in. I mean, we could start that today.
Mhm.
Police officers have no idea of the communities that they're serving or what's going on or what are the needs.
Because they're not from the
Um,
communities.
and so I think, say that again.
Because most of them aren't from those communities.
Exactly. So why are we not hiring people from communities to then keep them safe? Wouldn't there be more passion in them?
Yeah, I would think so.
right. Along with placemaking in the community where everyone is equitable. But sorry, I need to just be quiet.
No, you don't.
No, I hear what
big
you're saying.
opinion.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what they're not understanding is like when we're saying defunding the police, dismantling, it's dismantling and defunding what's been set in place because it's not working.
Mhm.
So we need to improve it. We need protection. We need rules. We need guidelines. We need boundaries. That's healthy in everything, in relationships, in work, in your day-to-day life. You have some type of boundary, routine, schedule, rule, And so I'm not someone that's like, no more rules, no more laws. No, they do need to be enforced. But what's happening is you're getting the same people that are in the Supreme Court placing who they like in the police officer level, placing the same person in the judge. So then everyone's just getting away with the systematic racism.
Mhm.
When we need to be taking a closer look at who is in these positions, why they should be in those positions, and if they even qualify. Every day I have to defend what I'm doing. I've been doing this work for over 50 years. I still have it. But a police officer only needs, I believe, 850 hours to become a police officer, and then it's like that's it. That's great. That's all they have to do. nobody questions them. Nobody questions their knowledge about their community, their knowledge even about their own laws that they're putting upon the citizens. Do they even know all the laws? Do they even know the I don't even know what I'm thinking right now, but it's like, do they know what they need to know? Because sometimes I feel like they don't.
I just imagine a bunch of cops on that show that used to be out. Are you smarter than a fourth grader?
Were they?
I don't think that ever happened, but in my head it was like, oh, like what's
I think the biggest thing that we're saying is nobody is saying that all police are bad. I have slept with police officers. They're
As
not all
have
bad.
I.
Some of them are bad at sleeping with people, but that's different. What I think we're asking for as a society is to hear Black people out, address these issues that are systemic, and change them.
Are we asking though? I think
We're demanding.
Like it's time.
Oh yeah, we're demanding.
Like it's just time.
Yeah.
Like, as Dina and I were joking earlier, we're out of fucks. Everyone's out of fucks to give.
I have a half.
Yeah.
A
I mean,
left,
yeah.
and that is
I
going
feel like
towards my makeup fucks. So which I don't have
absolutely.
makeup fucks today.
Neither do I, girl. But your glasses is cute.
Thank you. I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you, first of all, on a friendship level. Second of all, for what you do, because you absolutely 100% are making change within communities in Madison.
Oh, thank you.
So I am going to cry a little bit because I cry easily these days. Yes.
I'm just so thankful to finally meet you, even if it's just in this capacity on a video podcast. Also, I'm really excited to get to know you because one of my clients is Baby Express in Racine, and I've been looking for, or we're about to get to the point where we need an export in Berkeley.
Okay.
And so anyway,
yeah,
just making connections.
Just making the connections.
I love it. Connections.
So
I love it.
Let's kind of wrap it up on this. I have been I grew up in Texas. I was taught, and I'm gonna lay this out because it's disturbing to me, but I was taught treat everybody equally, love everyone, and at the same time being told, oh, you can't have Black honeys, or why. So within that system that I grew up in, surprised I turned out the way I did, and knowing the socialized racism that's within my socialization. Socialized, I'm saying words over again. I want to do the work. I want to examine all the things inside of me because it's gross and it's unacceptable. For instance, I went to a house in Fitchburg the other day to drop something off, and this guy came to the door, very handsome man, and I had this realization that I didn't expect it to be a Black guy. And I don't even know why that came into my head. And it pissed me off and it made me mad. Why wouldn't I expect? And I want to be very transparent about this. Because this is not for white people who have been socialized in these systems, who have, it is not an overnight thing, and you have to do the work as a white person. You have to do the work. You have to pay attention to those things. What would you say to someone who is just beginning the journey?
I would say that I
It's a
would say they
lot.
could pay me $250 and I'll tell them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's a thing called Google, and there's the word called bias. Like
Right. Yeah. It's like I cannot tell you what work you need to start doing, because those are some inner spirits, some inner demons that you've got to figure out on your own.
And even with your story, Dina, like I heard, just because even those of us who acknowledge we have bias, like know that they're there, we know how to work that muscle a little bit stronger when they start coming up. They still surprise us once in a while. And most people don't even know that they have the biases.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
I love and appreciate you.
I love you too, girl.
I know we
appreciate you having me on
I love
today.
you too.
Mm.
Oh, sorry. I did not mean to speak over you.
Yes. Greg, we're going to connect. So I
And
can have
I
your fun.
apologize
We're
for
going
my
to do this as a team.
naivete. I apologize about my naivete on the history of doula and where they fit into the medical.
Say that again, because you kind of went out.
I apologize on my naivete on the world of being a doula and how they fit into the medical system. So that
it's fine.
that I brought to this conversation.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're a little bit different than typical doulas anyway, so it's no worries.
Everyone listening to this, though, should go to peaceofmindnannies.com
Mm-hmm.
or peaceofmindmadison.com.
And then HarambeVillageDoulas.org, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Harambe Village also needs support. So in addition to locally supporting Urban Triage,
Freedom
Inc.
The 350, what is the 350 fund that goes towards getting people bail money?
Also, please make sure that you are helping out Harambe Village doulas as well, and sewing into the communities of color, Black communities specifically within Madison. And once again, so grateful for you. Thank you so much for taking your time to let us ask questions that crazy white people ask you all the time.
It's okay. I mean, I just love you guys, so it's fine.
Yeah. Love you so much.
Have a wonderful evening, and I hope
all right.
Self-care tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining.
Yes.
Bye, my love.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, ciao.
Bye.
So that was Michaela Berry from Harambe Village Doulas. I'm so grateful that she was able to join us today. I hope it didn't sound...
And I feel it's very necessary to say this right now, is that we did something that most people should not do. One person does not speak for the entire one Black person does not speak for the entire Black community. We did, that was a little on the spot. But we take advantage of our platform that other people are going to hear this platform, and that we can elevate Black voices. So at least that's our purpose.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Myra was not able to join us. I wanted to have her chip in too, but I'm asking questions to people on this platform that I would never ask my people of color, my friends of color. Just like as a trans woman, I get sick of hearing people, oh my God, it's so exhausting to hear them ask me about my junk, about, like, well, tell me what it's like to be trans. Well, my experience is different than every other trans person. So our conversation with Michaela was just her voice, not everybody's voice.
Can I dissect a couple of things in there? We talked a lot about microaggressions came up. If for some reason that you have not heard of this term, definitely look it up and look into it. But wait, what?
Look at your camera here.
Oh, Sorry, Dina's got like 75,000 cameras. Anyway, but it comes down to intent versus impact. And whether you intend something does not mean that it's right, because the impact could be completely different. And it comes just, again, intent versus impact. That is all you can go back to with microaggressions right now, because at Step Up Equity Matters, we do workshops on microaggressions. Check us out. The other thing that I wanted to, when you brought up, was when you brought up your story about your bias in delivering. Thank you for being so vulnerable in that, because I mean, but we all fuck up. We do in this work. We do. And
it's because we are socialized and it's ingrained in us, and it's not even conscious.
Right. And a tool that I was going to bring up is the book Everyday Bias by Howard Ross. It's a good book. If you've never really dived into your personal biases, that's a place to start. So one of thousands of places to start. It doesn't have to be asking the brown person.
Yeah. Don't ask the brown person. Don't ask the trans person. Don't ask the black person. Do your research if you can. We all have. We have the opportunity right now to learn and grow. So take advantage of that. Please take advantage of it. Like, this is a powerful moment in human history. I feel like it's probably even unlike other times. I really feel like it's a lot more intense, and
I agree. Baby. I agree, and it is. I think it's just the beginning, and I think you're hilarious, and I also think it's a great demonstration, because in global development work, we talk sometimes about the global north versus the global south, and what we see right now is how badly why the global north became so prosperous, and like it coming out, like everyone's seeing into everyone's closets. And I think this is just the beginning of what happened in London with the statue, and in Berlin they just had a huge demonstration too of thousands and thousands of people. So
I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to watch the protest. I think it was in New Zealand, where the Morai people did the Haka, the war dance in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. Literally just chills watching it. So powerful. This has been a pretty serious show. I feel like I'm gonna be funny. We're still gonna be funny. We're still gonna make fun of things, but I feel like we're gonna have real intense and real conversations, because that's where we are.
Right. And you and me are the type of people that want to get things funny and want to get things comfortable for everyone, so we can move across the conversation. But right now is not a time for comfortability. Like, everyone needs to find comfortability in being uncomfortable. So, and because I see right now I see myself just like, okay, how do we lighten it up? But no, then the lightening it up takes it from the narrative, even though we're going to probably make a joke or two.
Ladybugs is all I'm saying. So I think we're at an hour and a little bit over an hour. Do you have something else that you would like to what is happening? Go.
No.
Your turn.
I just got a comment from one of my best friends, and she's like, some people do ask me, some, people of color, some trans people, there's a relationship in there that you can feel out, that you can know. Like, it's not just like, hi, person on the street, can I ask you, and then touch your hair? But it gets a little deeper than that. So I'm so glad that you're watching, and you make a great point that there are people there that are very open to speaking about their story.
So this is Pride Month, and what a great time for us to come back. So we are going to be talking not only about Black Lives Matter, but we're also going to go into a lot of pride issues. And next week, I'm really excited. She's one of my friends, but she's also been a part of my musical history throughout my entire life. She came out a few years ago, and she is a fierce queer activist and ally. And Maria McKee will be joining us next week live here on DNG Live. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to celebrate Pride Month now.
Right now?
No, right? Oh, yeah.
Bring out the dancing boys.
We have some more time if we want to. I mean, we have all the time we want to do. So if you have any questions for us, please pop them in the comments. We'd love to answer some of your questions. We'd love to chat to you. But also, Greg, what else? Do you have anything to talk about?
I don't see.
Do you want to go back to Sochi's?
I don't see how we can. I think that this is a closing moment.
Is it?
I do.
Well, I just asked the people in the comments, so let's give it a few
Okay.
moments. I would like to say that I was watching a live from one of my Facebook friends, Duke, Virginia, who I think is in Atlanta. And throughout this whole process, we have seen we've seen a devaluation of Black women and Black trans women. We've seen kind of that the priority has been on men. You hear less about Breonna Taylor. Police officers went into her house and shot her. And so one of my goals is to uplift the trans and queer people. Tony McDade, who was a Black trans man who was murdered by the police, and then Black trans lives that are constantly not only by police but by other people. And so Duke, Virginia's live today was a protest with Black trans people, and it was so beautiful and so amazing. So while you're out there fighting for Black lives, also make sure that you are recognizing that Black trans lives and Black women are also very important to include in that narrative, because they're just as affected, if not more so.
I have nothing to say.
Thank you.
Just support that. So that is, yeah.
Okay. So you guys can follow me on Dina Nina Martinez on all the socials except for on Twitter. It's Dina N Martinez. And Greg?
I'm at GG Potter on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And then you can follow us, DNG Live, at Dina and Greg Show on all the socials except for Twitter, which is Dina and Greg with 2 G's on the end. So please go and do that.
And thank you for following us on this this inaugural launch. What's the word I'm looking for? This maiden voyage of us in this video platform.
Yes. We're working out the kinks. Also, someone said we need to focus on everyone being someone who matters. I highly agree with that, but until Black trans lives matter, no one else, all lives are not mattering. People get so frustrated and angry and say, all lives matter, but you're not treating all lives like they matter. So when we elevate those Black trans, Black men, Black women who are disproportionately affected by police violence and systemic racism and violence, we are prioritizing those because those are the people that are at greater risk of bodily harm and death.
All lives do matter, but right now we're working on the ones
we're
focusing on
until we focus on those things, all lives don't matter. Like, all lives matter when I am just as upset at a black man getting murdered by a police officer as I am a white man getting picked up by the cops for doing meth. I don't know. You know, like there is a disproportionate. We don't see and pay attention to Black lives that are taken as much as we see. And yeah. So yes. All of us matter. There's no way to say that enough. All lives do fucking matter, but we have to pay attention to the lives that are disproportionately affected. So, not that I'm gonna sneeze.
There is so many great memes out there that talk about this.
Yeah, I didn't think that you were saying that all lives matter. I'm saying that we need to pay attention to the whole diaspora of Black. Oh, I said diaspora. I may not have used it correctly. Of Black lives and how they're affected. Before we can move on to all lives matter, because then our next group are trans people. Like we're not focusing on trans people. Our next group are brown people. We put brown people in cages within the last 3.5 years. Cages. Sorry, I'm very angry. Yeah. And so I want you to pay attention. I want you to go out and vote. I want you to post in solidarity with Black Lives Matters, and just go out there and love one another. God damn it.
It comes down to love.
Yeah.
Love for each other, even when we disagree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to have that conversation on air soon. So thank you all so much for joining us. I'm sorry I got onto my tirade. It wasn't meant to be.
Don't apologize.
Yeah, I'm not apologizing. I retract my apology.
It's the D&G Live.
It is.
You're the D in D&G.
You guys were back. How exciting. Thank you guys once again. And
thank you. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And be safe out there. And
be safe.
Yeah, just be safe. And love each other.
And make sure to go donate to bail funds and Black-owned or Black organizations that support people in your communities, if you can. And if not, do something. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. I promise we're gonna go away.